when you learn to purge those, what you'll find is your beauty, your magnificence, your divinity, and viscerally you will know that it's not just you that is living God as you or source or creator, but everything else is too. And just like you will have purged your own self-judgments, which is your self-harming thoughts with the behaviors that come with that, and you will no longer want to perpetuate this. You will also no longer want to perpetuate harm inflicted onto the planet, onto animals, on other people, because you know they are of the same consciousness as you are. And just like you don't want to harm yourself, you don't want to harm what is around you. So I see that that's the only way I see how we're going to get out of a world where people try to, exploit and extract and, live lives unconsciously that are harming, hurting the planet, other people.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. I have a very special guest lined up for you today, and I'm stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Hey there, Cosmic Thrill Seekers. I'm Justin. This is Living Life Consciously, where we explore the extraordinary, ride the waves of inspiration, and embark on an adventure of limitless curiosity together. Leslie, you want to say hi?
Hi, I'm Leslie, also known as Light Being, Love, an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. And I'm always very happy to be here. We're here with Jeroen. Jeroen, would you like to say hi?
Hey, Cosmic people. My name is Jeroen de Wit. I'm from the Netherlands, but I'm based in LA. And I can't wait to get into our conversation for today. So glad to be here.
Same. Thank you so much.
So happy to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm stoked for this. And for our audience, join us in this episode of Living Life Consciously as we dive into the extraordinary world of Jeroen de Wit, a level 3 quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner trained by the legendary Dolores Cannon, the GOAT herself, you guys, the GOAT herself. Jeroen's journey into the subtle dimensions of existence began childhood and deepened after a profound experience in his 20s. Now, with 2,000 plus QHHT sessions under his belt, he helps others reconnect to source, accessing transformative healing energies that touch both in the physical and non-physical realms. Pull up a seat as he shares his fascinating path through energy healing, from his training in Reiki, EMF Balancing, and shamanism, to his certifications in art therapy and spiritual psychology. He also has a profound love for nature, creativity, and his feline hiking companion, Kitty, that helps keep him grounded. Prepare for an inspiring conversation about self-discovery, soul growth, and living authentically. Could QHHT be the key to unlocking your true potential? Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, such an honor.
Absolutely. Is there anywhere specific you'd like to start, or should we start with a question?
I'm really open to questions. I love being asked questions. I usually don't know what I know until people start asking questions about it. So,
okay.
Perfect way for me to do this conversation.
Okay.
Awesome.
Your journey into energy healing began with a profound experience in your 20s. Can you take us back to that moment and describe what shifted for you?
Sure. So get ready, because it's not like a typical, I saw an angel or, the light appeared. It was a really horrible experience. And, I meet this in my office quite a bit, that crisis is often like a door opener or a gateway into like spiritual awakening. So I no longer call it my mental breakdown. I call it my spiritual awakening. Gotcha. And what it looked like is that I was training to be a dancer, and I thought this is what I always wanted. This is back in Amsterdam. And I found that I had trouble fitting into the structure of the school, and I talked to the dean, and she said, why don't you go do the Landmark Forum? And I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a large group forum that you're led through different insights, and you're supposed to come out of it jubilant and, oh my God, I've nailed life and I know how to do it now. And it's fabulous. I came out of it completely robbed from my fragile perception of reality. Like looking back at it, I felt so different and out of place being here on this planet that I kind of shut myself down completely.
Oh, wow.
And I was like checked out. Like I was only like in my body halfway. And during this landmark forum, that was sort of shot to pieces. And it left me with the pit of unprocessed feelings and emotions and a lack of sense of self that wasn't there, that wasn't developed. And so this is really scary and nightmarish. I experienced something that's called derealization. I thought I was going crazy because I felt like every breath, every step was a lie. I felt like I was suspended between life and death.
Wow.
And in this moment of despair, my first teacher started to appear. Like through one of my dance teachers, I was led to a holistic healer. And he described energetically what was going on with me, that I was knocked out of my body from the trauma. I was barely hanging on by my crown chakra. And so he provided me with like healing and like homeopathy to kind of give that basic layer of being access to my body again. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, we're good. I can just continue on like it was. I'm fixed now, like back to life. But it was only the start of it.
Okay.
Because I noticed that whenever I was in an emotionally difficult situation, which was basically any social situation for me at the time,
okay,
I would just leave my body again and I would be gone. So then I found this wonderful woman who helped me with bioenergetic therapy, which is a body-oriented form of therapy that allows to get unstuck needs and feelings expressed within the body. And that kind of solidified like the next layer of my being back in. Then I found Reiki, had a really profound Reiki awakening where I was being worked on, and my body started convulsing and screaming and really like emoted the years of like unprocessed anger and rage, and it was very cathartic. I really felt like a homecoming, like to myself right afterwards. And so by that time, I was already like tuned into like a healing path because I would be performing Reiki on other people. And I really love being in this healing space and seeing other people have such like unique personal processes of healing and regaining their magical sense of self or their authentic self, you know, that's beyond the boundaries of the constructs that we were given as children growing up in this world that is, to me, like very survival based and fear based.
Yeah.
Does that answer it a little bit? I try to keep it short.
That answers it a lot of it. That was great.
Yeah, that was a good answer. Thank you.
This is probably a petty question, but just because I love dance, what kind of dance are you trained in?
So I was trained in, like I first started out with West African dances, and then I was trained in ballet and contemporary, and that was my thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
What a palette of skills to have access to. I'm sorry, I love dance, so that like took me like took me like a little curve thought process there. But anyway, okay, so back to the story. So it sounds like your spirit guides really set you up for kind of like a rude awakening. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, very rude. Yeah. Back in the face and a half. It was really, wow. I mean, at the time, because I didn't have any examples of other people going through what I was going through. And so I felt lost and alone and thinking like, I'm beyond fucked up. Like nobody knows what to do with this. So I was really happy that I was led to this energy healer who spoke from this realm of energy and non-physical realities. And it made so much sense to me. And the effects of his like work on me was so profound. Like I could really notice that I was not a physical being. I was really an energy being, like a soul, you know, trying to live in a human body. And my journey from then on has been about really incarnating back in the body with all the different dimensions that my being encompasses. And this is an ongoing journey. It's still going on to this day. And this is what I teach, like in the work that I do in QHHT, really lends itself to that, for people to find themselves like in their own unique way, instead of like having to fit into different categories or labels, to really embrace your authenticity. And I see that as like a really revolutionary and kind of radical thing to do, because you know this is not how the world functions. And so I feel like, you know, when these people like find their light, then they go back out into the world, they are like beacons for others to do the same thing for them. And, finding yourself is really finding God or source or creator, or God is whatever we like to use for that. So it is like the awakening into 5D, because that's really what we are.
Right.
It's purge into
this awakening and finding yourself, and all the terms that you're using, I feel like really comes down to, like, you could also call it, loving yourself or self-love, and accepting who and what you are, and to be yourself and to love yourself. And basically, if you're not doing that, then you're not being authentic, or I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
Okay.
True. That's true. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. That's a short way of saying it, to love yourself.
Yeah. And then, like, all the, programming and, what's expected is just like all this pressure to, like, be different than how you want to be. Yeah, it's challenging to live in this world and to be authentic.
Yeah, we're basically indoctrinated and programmed from the jump. I mean, like, you could even trace it back to, like, inception, because we gain the DNA and the genetic memory from our parents. So it's like we're taking shit on before we even had a chance to, like, double and triple our cells into a fetus, like
Right.
we're already taking on baggage.
QHHT Practitioner, and I mean, we're also taking it from other lifetimes, right? I mean, are you gathering that from what you do and the people that you see? Like, it's all intertwined.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've been sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to add, like, both in DNA and, like, emotional programming as well.
Yes.
They, of course, like, intersect. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So you've been trained by the legendary GOAT herself, Dolores Cannon. And I say that with all due respect, because that woman in my book is like as soon as I hear the name Dolores Cannon, I hear, like, oh, for real. Like, that may sound a little dramatic, but I'm extra like that. And I just feel like, oh. And she was such a game changer for me in my spiritual awakening, because I think I started off, like, listening to NDEs and then somehow transitioned into past life regression. And I found Dolores Cannon and I was listening to what she said. And I think that's what really started to bring the alien realness into my realm. And yeah, from there it took off. So, like, what was it like working with her? Because I was watching one of your videos prior to us talking today, and you said you started studying in 2006. And I know that she passed in 2014. So you actually met the woman and worked with her yourself. Please tell me what that was like. I'm, like, fangirling through you right now. I hope that's okay.
I was at the time, because I had just found out about her. I was getting a healing done at a friend's, like, energy healing practice, like scalar wave technology stuff. And he had a book of her on our coffee table. I had, like, a little alien on the cover. And so I started leafing through it. And I just couldn't believe what I was reading. I just devoured the whole thing and looked her up and got all her other books and read her books. And then I was like, fuck, this woman really talks about stuff that is somewhere inside of me, but that I've never seen an example of in the world out there. Like, it speaks of these worlds and dimensions that I kind of knew about. I mean, not like...
You innately knew about it, but the world didn't teach it to you.
Like, it
resonated with me. Gotcha, yes. And so I looked her up, and, I was living in the Netherlands at the time, and found out that she was teaching in the Netherlands, like, 3 months away from the moment I found out about her.
Wow.
Synchronicity.
And at the time, there were, like, eligibility requirements to do her work, and I had just met those. So she came over to the Netherlands, and we were in this, like, small class of people from all over Europe. It was 12 of us, and I was
class size. Okay.
Yeah, I was fangirling over her too. And so, at the time, like, she was not the household name that she is now. Like, people now know of her name, like, at least the worlds that I move in. People know who she is.
Right.
At the time, there was, she was so unknown. She was just this little, growing up in the Netherlands, I only knew America through, like, the movies and media. So she just looked like a church lady to me, like this white,
with a little blonde bob, right?
I know, this little perm. So that really tickled me, because, she'd be sitting there kind of representing what you would think, like, church people. And then it was open, and she disperses all this, like, metaphysical, like, way out there stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny to me, like the way, she wasn't wearing like a blue robe, but like a crystal on her forehead.
She comes across very like next door neighbor grandma, like just like you said, a church lady, just someone
Come over for some
non-threatening.
meatloaf. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Who's gonna come over with a baked pie and like hand it to you, right?
Exactly.
Oh, shout out Dolores Cannon. We miss you, babe.
Shout out. No, when she's legendary, like I, sometimes I think about it, like her legacy is just
huge. And I'm so glad that her daughter Julia is still carrying it on. I'm so glad she still does all that stuff.
Because it's like, she started like back in the 60s or 70s, and she started with traditional hypnosis. And when she dipped into like an accidental regression, she wasn't like fazed by it. She's from the Bible Belt, so she could have said, oh my God, this is Satan, like close the book and run away. But she was just very fascinated, and she has such a scientific mind and an avid researcher. She was able to like really like bring validation to it for herself.
So she started it on accident. Did I just hear that?
She did.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, she wasn't into this at all. She just wanted to help people stop smoking and lose weight with like traditional hypnosis.
So she was doing regular hypnosis.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me think of the Brian L. Weiss. I'm sure you're familiar with him, right? He's like another hypnosis person. I might be saying his name wrong.
Oh, snap. Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Dolores is right there.
Oh, yeah.
There she is.
Who is it?
Oh, that's Brian Weiss. Right there.
I'm trying to see. I'm on this little bit screen.
It's okay.
I'll see it later.
Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yes. Gosh. So I have, I read his books. I have like 3 different books of his. I've read 2 of them, and maybe partially of the other. But it's been a while. But his stuff is amazing, and he, was doing his thing, which I think he was just purposely doing past life regressions. But the channeling came through on accident. So like other beings were coming through. This one lady anyway. But I don't know. Is that happening in your sessions where it's not like their higher selves or whoever? It's like another being all
oh yeah, like just
and are
like
they giving you profound messages? Like what are some things that
yeah, so this happens in sessions, not just in mine, but like the other students of Dolores. And so like 2 days ago, my client's consciousness was taken out aboard a spaceship where they were putting him in an incubation chamber where they were healing him. And at the same time, I was like, well, how does this work? Like, I'm talking, you're using his voice right now. He's laying in front of me. And so he had exchanged bodies with this alien star family member, and I was talking to them. And they were telling me like stuff that's been coming in a lot, like about Earth history and how Earth was created. It was intended to be like a sort of Garden of Eden, where people would learn through love, but then the universe decided, it's going to be different. And it was allowed that like darkness, let's call it that, was allowed to take foothold on Earth. This happened a long time ago, where the original coding of the Earth was sort of corrupted or changed. And it allowed for a very sort of different soul journey for all the beings that were going to be incarnated on the planet. So it became more of a journey of like moving through dualism and contrast, like moving through ego and all the shit that we see around us all the time. And that we're now in a time where the darkness has taken so much hold. I mean, I'm just calling it darkness, but it's really just contrast or the other part of source. It's not like there's evil in the world that we have to run away from or fight against. This is all the universe expressing itself, providing a space for souls to come learn things here that we couldn't learn anywhere else. So the experiences that dualism has provided have been very helpful, but now it's just out of balance. And now we're here to reset the balance and move it into light. So that is the information that's been coming forth a lot.
Wow. Okay.
This being, he was from a planet in the Andromedan system. They even said a name for the planet, and I can't remember what it was. But that's what they were talking to me about, and that there's many different galactic groups, part of the Galactic Federation of Light, that have that have been involved with Project Earth for a long time, and that now their involvement is about getting boots on the ground. So incarnating onto the planet through people like you and I, and in doing so, anchoring this larger energy on the planet. And this is, what I find so satisfying in doing the work that I do, that I get to work a lot with these people that have had a similar experience to me, that came into this life feeling very out of place and not understanding why there was so much violence, and why didn't people just,
love each other.
Love each other and see the connection to all life and like honor it and stuff. And for me, the journey was about like feeling very weird and not worthy, and like I didn't fit in, and I was the freak, and and now I get to work with all the other freaks, and we're all fly our freak flags with the purpose of like really embodying all the galactic or different life energies purposefully, to anchor that and to kind of broadcast it out on the planet.
Yeah, man. There's two things that are coming to mind that I feel the need to say. The first is that duality is a bitch. Okay, because like we came here, you said that we came here to learn love, and I'm sitting here going, well, they messed that up because we got polarity out here, like you know what I'm saying, like we got polarity out the yin yang. But anyways, and then I already forgot my second thought. It's okay.
Okay, so for those of we all know what QHHT is.
Oh yeah, right? We should have asked this in the beginning, but that's right.
For those that are watching this right now and they don't know what QHHT is, can you give a brief description about what QHHT stands for and how it differs from like a regular hypnosis?
Valid question.
Yeah, and stop me if I'm getting too like wordy.
No, you're good.
So QHHT means Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, and it was developed by Dolores Cannon. It used to be like just called past life regression, but then Dolores tapped into this, what she called the subconscious mind, which is our soul or our higher self or oversoul, different words for the same thing. And it was this vast realm of information. You could equate it to the Akashic Records. Really information from anywhere, like all information anywhere is recorded, and tapping into that and asking for healing. So a session is typically around like 4 hours long, and a person would bring in a list of questions regarding their life, questions big and small. And then we would first talk about their life and then take them through the regression. And, I'm not going to direct them into specific lifetimes, even if they bring in, well, I have had dreams about being in a civil war stuff. Like I leave it completely up to the higher self to provide them with the most healing quantum codes from a different expression of their soul. And so we do this for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then their consciousness is sufficiently like disassociated with their normal everyday state of mind, where you can then call forth this subconscious mind, this vast reservoir of knowledge and love and wisdom. And it's just there to love on my client and help them as much as they can with the issues that they're bringing in. And that wraps it up. It's the session. And so it differs from traditional hypnosis that, to my understanding, traditional hypnosis works with like programming the conscious mind, and the practitioner is very much in charge of deciding what's right, what's wrong, and what should be happening based on the client needs. And, in this work, I get out of the way. I just quiz and ask open-ended questions, and I ask, well, is it good to remove this, or should we do this, or what's best for them? Okay. And so, because every situation is very unique and personal, and it's you can't just blatantly copy and paste another person's.
Right. There's blueprints and everything else.
Yes. Always very surprising, and there are similarities, of course, but. I'm always taken off guard. Like, oh, didn't see this coming, and it's so fascinating. I'm a Gemini. I don't like routine. So for me, it's like watching like a different sci-fi episode of some crazy Netflix show or something.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. You've had 2,000 plus QHHT sessions, which if you do the math, I guess that's like 5,200 hours of experience with people's higher selves and past lives. So you've probably witnessed some incredible stuff and some really profound healings. What kind of healing typically comes from a QHHT session?
It's hard to say it's typical. What I would say the healing that happens most is that people regain access to their divinity or their sourceness or their higher self, and that expresses in many different ways, and it can have like consequences for physical issues. So it does happen that people are healed on the spot physically and just walk away with like hips that are functioning, arthritis that's gone, visions back restored to 2020, even
Wow.
weight loss or like physical changes that are very noticeable. Like hammer toes, the other month, somebody walked off with like, she had open-toed shoes, so it was very obvious that the hammer toes had been gone. I mean, it seems like a small thing, but it's like really
Wow.
diamonds, like, do the happy dance, like, oh, this is amazing, yes.
Wow.
So it's, it's not like come in, take the QHHT pill and boom, you're healed. It's really a reconnection to, it's a piercing through the limiting beliefs that we have accrued living in this world, and getting sort of inoculated against more of that stuff by kind of acknowledging and seeing and feeling what this higher self is like, that it's really your unique, authentic self. And that by doing that, it erases the need for a lot of physical issues to be there in the first place, because they were there often to redirect a person to really refocus on themselves rather than their kids, their partner, their spouse, their job, the world, and working for validation, working for acknowledgement, like being in survival. And so the scales tip within a session for where they learn to validate and value themselves first, and to love themselves first, and then to navigate life forward from that.
Awesome.
In a healthier way.
Of course, healthier, in a more sort of aligned way, where they would like, follow their joy and what makes them feel good, which is what doing our life purpose feels like. So following joy always leads you in a purposeful, meaningful life for you.
Now, how many sessions do people usually do? Because I can't remember what year it was. I think it was like 2021. I had one session of QHHT and I was brought back through 4 different lives. Do people usually like one and done, they just hit it and quit it with QHHT, or is this like a repeating, they have like multiple sessions? Like what's more common, I guess the question is.
Yeah, it's designed to be like a hit it and quit it.
Okay.
But like, of course, that so many people are like on a very accelerated sort of spiritual like awakening right now, or journey, that they have a session and then, oh my God, this whole new realm of information, and my life feels completely different.
That's how it felt for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they start working with and being with that. And then like maybe a year or two later, they go like, oh my God, all this stuff now happened again. I need to figure out what the hell's next. And so I might come in for another one. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. Maybe I asked that question because my higher self is like, all right, girl, you ready for another one? Cool. And
I have yet to have a QHHT session, but I would love to. The first thing I looked into was actually like classes to become one, rather than actually trying to figure out how to. So I'm very interested in, maybe one day I will do that, but I think it's like awesome.
It's so much fun to be a practitioner.
Yeah, I can see how it's very healing and very
rewarding,
quantum ways. You know what I mean? Like in so many different ways.
For me, it's like being in this realm that I knew as a kid, but I didn't see it reflected in the world outside of me. And now I'm getting to like be in this and live in this and see other people open up to it. And,
so thank you for doing what you're doing and following your joy and being authentic and healing others, and everything that you went through really prepared you to be the, ultimate healer. So you're doing probably just what was exactly in your blueprint. Have you figured that part out, or have sessions yourself to like?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just so grateful because, the only education that I had was like not fitting in anywhere. Like I didn't fit in society. I couldn't figure out how people did life. So it wasn't until I found this, I was like, oh, I'm saved finally. So it really feels like the only thing. I mean, now, there's so many other options of like delving into these, you know, other realms of existence or different dimensions within your being. But yeah, I'm really here. I mean, my purpose here is to help others to do what I am doing for myself, which is pulling in the other dimensions or incarnating or embodying more dimensions than just the limited sort of set that we are given when we are born onto this planet.
Kind of like to embody our wholeness.
Yes,
of
to
our
embody your
original self.
magic. Yeah, your magical self, your uniqueness. Right.
Alrighty, so we've been talking a lot about like being out of our body and feeling like not really connected and like, you know, knowing and understanding that like we're not really from here, right? But like you said earlier also, and like Leslie and I always say, we are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. And sometimes humaning is hard. Right. So
yes.
Very hard. There's so many things that you got to deal with and think about and consider and whatever. But like what I would like to ultimately ask you is, how do you stay grounded? Because I talked about in your intro that you love hiking with your kitty. So if you would love to tell us about that, or that'd be great. Or just like, what kind of things do you do to help keep you grounded to earth? Because like a lot of people feel very floaty out of their body-ish lately. So like, help us get grounded, tie us down a little bit.
I mean, it's been kind of a long journey for me since I didn't really incarnate. You know, when I was born, I was kind of like barely hanging on, like with one finger.
Mm-hmm.
So, in general, I would say to really find out how to honor your original sense of self or your true being, and then to create the conditions that you need that might be very different from the conditions that a world or a family or a partner or whatever provides for you. And so for me, that means like lots of rest, and it means being in nature. It means getting sunlight. It means swimming in the creek. It means being with animals. It means self-expression. It means dancing. It means singing. It means eating. Oh my God, I enjoy good food.
Same.
So, and then, yeah, all the things that really make me come alive, and to really, yeah, and I had to learn to really make myself the first priority in my life. And because that is what's required to be grounded. Because if you constantly give of yourself or you try to save everybody else, you know, you're depleted, and you don't even know like what keeps you sane and grounded on the planet. No wonder that you're spaced out.
Yeah. And I feel like we were talking about earlier, like, you know, we're indoctrinated and programmed from birth. So it's like we come into the world with a lot of expectations already. And it's like nobody teaches you how to really listen to that internal voice. I didn't start listening to my internal voice till I was like in my 30s, because I found people like Dolores Cannon who told me you could actually do that. And like Abraham Hicks, you know, like all these people. Daniel Scranton was a big one for me. Joe Dispenza was a big one for me.
Yeah.
You know, all these people that
too.
like really taught me a whole different way of living and thinking and being and humaning.
Yes. Agreed.
All right, I got a question. Okay, so you've mentioned your mission is to help people live authentically. How can someone start taking steps to embrace their true self?
I would say the first one is to learn, well, first to feel your feelings, because some people don't even know how to do that. They've been so traumatized to be in their head completely. So to start doing work to connect to your feelings and to be willing to validate them, and then to start listening to them as your inner guidance system. I'm not talking about emotions, but I'm talking about feelings towards or away from places that are not serving you. So that would be the first step. And then, you know, once you do that, sometimes that happens in a session. That's kind of work that people bring in. And it's such a profound refocusing, you know, it's really moving out of the, like doing life based on the external validation or confirmation that we've been taught, to realizing that there is a sense of self there, and that there has been a conversation or trying to happen through feelings and nudges and hunches and senses. And the more you do that, the more that you give credence to these inner musings, and take them as your intimate connection to yourself. The more that you are letting yourself know that you actually give a damn, that you are hearing and seeing yourself in ways that your parents weren't able to do so, or the world wasn't able to do so. And so that is the beginning of like stopping that runaway train that we've been on, and to lay down this other set of tracks that is about self-love. And the more that you take out time, it's not just about the knowing, or like being a spiritual librarian and absorb all this information in order to be grounded here on the planet and to be able to have a relationship with yourself. You're going to put that into physical space-time terms, meaning you're going to have to restructure your life in ways where you actually give time to where you can be in relationship with yourself. You have your kids, your job, you have all the demands that are there, but to push away from that, it's so important saying like, listen, on Monday morning, mom is going to go for the hills, and don't bother me. My phone will be off. I'm just going to be like jumping in the creek, or just writing down some, talking to my higher self, or whatever it is, to find a sacred time for yourself. And the more that you do that, the more that you get to know yourself being in that space, and the more that you'll be drawn to doing more of it because it feels good. And the more that you do that, the more you find out what you like, what you dislike, and the more that you start to trust like relationships that are not working out, or situations that are not working out, the more you start to be able to hear those feelings and to actually validate them as a way to like, oh, fuck, this is not for me. I thought this job looked so good on paper because XYZ, and it's going to get me benefits and promotion, and I'm going to get to like kiss this narcissistic boss's ass to finally be seen and heard for who I am. Actually, it doesn't feel good right now, so it's not for me. So, that would be my suggestion of where, like, the bare bones of where that starts. And then as you progress through this, you'll find that more subtle layers of yourself will start to pull into your focus. A lot of people come in with the question like, I just want to get more psychic and more intuitive. And usually the advice is, well, just start by listening to your feelings and to your body, because if you can't even acknowledge those, then how do you expect the more subtle whispers of like the more subtle dimensions to come through? So
that is a very good point.
Yeah.
That's why I would start.
Yeah, I think following your joy and listening to your internal self is a great like first way to like really get in tune, right? Because it's like I studied animal communication, and that taught me a lot too, because I had to get out of my own way in order to be able to learn that kind of thing. Because, I was born and raised in Queens, New York. I was Catholic. I was a New Yorker, Italian household, German house, like that kind of situation. So we were very hard-headed, if I don't see it, it ain't real kind of thing. So I had to really like shut myself up so that I could like hear everything else that was out there. I had to like literally get out of I had to be like, all right, Allison, move over. Like there's a new thing that's coming through. Okay, she's ready to be born, and here we are. So it's like, I feel like everything you just said is very, very valid. And I feel like our audience is going to be very drawn to you and your energy and what you're offering. So can you tell them like where you are online, what you offer, where they could find you, drop your links?
Oh, thank you. So yes, so I do QHHT the way that it's done by Dolores. So that means it's done in person, and I'm in Los Angeles. So I serve people from around this area, or people that are traveling. But I also do group progressions online, and these are really fun ways to have an experience of a different part of your soul, really. And it's always fun, people sharing. There's so many different experiences to be had and to be listened to. And that's basically what I focus on. So I no longer provide energy healing or Reiki or any of that. It was just too much on the side of QHHT. So I'm completely focused, on doing QHHT. And you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Jeroen, Jeroen. I know, it sucks. It's difficult.
Don't say that. It's great. It's wonderful.
It's a great name.
It's who you are. What name you were given in this incarnation, I should say.
No, I'm not saying it sucks for me, but it sucks for you.
I'll have it on the screen. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's Jeroen. It's the Dutch version of Jerome. And then my affirmation is love. So Jeroen is love. You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads. Yes.
Okay.
And then my website is Jeroen, JeroenQHHT.com.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I will have all of those links on the screen and in the video description box below. So make sure to check that out. You might have to send me the Threads link, but that's all right. We'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay. I wanted to add, like, the group progressions are done online often. So, you know, I get people from all over the world. So if you're not in LA, you can still join in.
I'm glad that you have sessions like that offered.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. So what would your greatest hope for the future of humanity be?
The greatest hope would be that everyone is able to reconnect to their authenticity, to their true sense of self, because, I mean, there's so many benefits to it. Like, when you purge the judgments that you've taken on about yourself, like not feeling good enough because, like, for me, it was being gay and genderqueer, or being a redhead, or having interest in things that other people didn't have. Like, there were so many ways for me to, like, judge myself, and we all go through this because all of us have our magic, like, shut down. But when you learn to purge those, what you'll find is your beauty, your magnificence, your divinity, and viscerally, you will know that it's not just you that is living God as you, or source, or creator, but everything else is too. And just like you will have purged your own self-judgments, which is your self-harming thoughts, with the behaviors that come with that, and you will no longer want to perpetuate this. You will also no longer want to perpetuate harm inflicted onto the planet, onto animals, on other people, because you know they are of the same consciousness as you are. And just like you don't want to harm yourself, you don't want to harm what is around you. So I see that that's the only way I see how we're going to get out of a world where people try to, you know, exploit and extract and, you know, live lives unconsciously that are harming, hurting the planet, other people. So my hope is that we all can get there, not just because of it'll be a much better world, because the solutions that we will find to be able to do the things that we want to do with our lives will not, like, violence and extraction and exploitation and harm will no longer be acceptable, like, side effects of that. We will no longer allow that for there to be. So if you decide that is no longer allowed, then you open your mind up to a range of other solutions that are win-win, that are loving and compassionate and kind for everything involved. And that's really what I want for the world. And because when you get to recover your true self, this comes with, you know, your life purpose, your joy, and your genius. You know, everybody is their own brand of genius onto the planet, bringing in their own unique information and coding. And can you imagine 8 billion resources of wisdom and joy and love on the planet, the amazing realities that we can create for everyone? I mean, that's what I want for, that's my hope. I love that question.
Man, that is a beautiful answer.
Yeah, thank you.
And I love that we have the opportunity to highlight this show is called Living Life Consciously, because we're trying to do everything you just said by having these conversations.
Oh my God.
So that's exactly why I love having people like you
I felt like I was on the
show.
roll. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
It also reminds me of my favorite mantra that I learned at my favorite yoga studio. Shout out YogaPod. And it says, Loka samhasta sukhino bhavantu, which means all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way towards the happiness and freedom for all. So
wow.
There you have it.
Wow. My mantra is, of course, fly your freak flag. But then also another one is, it's by Peggy Phoenix Dubrow, who developed EMF Balancing Technique. And it is, the key to freedom is to be fully present in your body. I love that one.
Yeah. That is, I love that one too. That's good. Yeah.
Leslie and I love a good quote.
Yeah.
We're like the
you guys are always quoting
in the YouTube live chats. We're always throwing
my
out.
mantra is everything is okay.
And another one that I really like is by RuPaul, and it is "We're All Just God Playing Dress Up."
Yes, yes, Queen, yes. Oh man, I resonated with flying a freak flag at a very early age. I remember that one. Yeah, it was something else. Anyways, all right, cool.
What's one thing you wish more people knew about energy healing and its potential to transform lives?
Good question.
What I want people to know about energy healing in order to transform lives is that as we were saying in the beginning, that we're souls in a human body, that there's different ways of intervening with processes that are going on. It's not just through the physical dimension, but also the emotional, the mental, and the energetics of the body, and that the changes can be profound. I mean, this is especially for people that are like you and like us, that have come in with lots of other dimensional realities or frequencies in order to anchor them here. Especially for us, these practices can be profoundly changing. I mean, for me, part of my awakening and my health have been Reiki, energy healing. Acupuncture has been a big help for me when I was going through like a large trauma and loss. And I still get like regular like tune-ups, all kinds of energy work. So yeah, I mean, it can be so supportive in a journey of self-discovery when you notice that these more energetic sort of interventions in your state of being can be so profoundly changing. It can really affirm, for a person that, okay, yes, I am an energy or a spirit or a soul in a human body right now.
Mm-hmm.
We are energy, right?
Mm-hmm. And energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transformed from one version to another.
Beautiful.
Told you we love our quotes around here. I have a question that's been persisting as of recently. Justin and I do a UFO news show on UAP Society, and we're all about aliens. And one question that I want to ask you, because it's come up in a lot of the conversations that we've also had with channelers, and that is that there's some open contact event that's like on the horizon. It's like looming. It's like about to be here. Have you heard that through any of your sessions? And can you spill the tea on when, where, and what? Like,
I wish. I mean, yes, it comes in. I would say like at least 35 to 40% of sessions are like very alien, and so whenever that comes up, it's always like difficult to like establish like a timeline, because it's like depending on things. I go, sure, just tell me when.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Like I'm like planning an outfit and stuff.
Exactly. I want to be ready with the fit, man. Come on.
So the information I'm getting is similar to what the channelers say, that it is happening. I just had a session where that was made clear again. That was going to happen soon, and the reasons for it to be, that there would be upheaval, of course, because people, like a lot of people, be freaking out, but that it would be good for us in the long run, that we're going to be accepting that we're not alone in the universe, and that will profoundly change our relationship to the type of economy that we have right now, and how we see each other and souls, and it's going to be like through our old antiquated paradigms and kind of shake them loose a little bit, rattle the cage.
Yeah. Good. I feel like a lot of people are like very afraid of disclosure, just because of exactly what you just said. It's going to rattle their cages. It's going to knock down the walls that they've built around themselves. It's going to cause the house of cards to crumble. But honestly, I mean, like, I think that's a good thing. Everybody's like, oh, disclosure can't come now because, there's too much problems in the world. There's too much fighting. There's too much this, there's too much that. I'm like, okay, but when is that going to end? Like, if we wait for everybody to be kumbayaing, like, it's never going to happen. So I feel like something like that, could cause the unification of us as a species, and hopefully like expand our empathy and our cosmic consciousness to the other NHI that are out there.
That's the thought that I hold as well. And also, there's so many of us on, boots on the ground right now that are embodying this other consciousness. So there will be, I think, there will be, disclosure can function as a big sort of nudge in a way of like creating more space for that out in the world, and to creating different systems and more love, compassion based economies, maybe local economies, or like ways of being, growing food locally. It can be very helpful, I think. I agree.
Agreed.
Like I would like for it to happen too.
Same. I think we're all on the same page with that one.
Me too.
I mean, what it would do for like the xenophobia that's been going on this planet for so long, like not accepting each other for different skin tone or different sexuality, and then just showing up. It's like, whoa, I guess we're all human after all.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all one, right? We're
wish
all fractals of the same source.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I wish that would really break down the borders that we have, with our neighbors.
Yeah, these invisible lines that we've drawn in the sand. It makes you different from me somehow.
Right. And now you're my enemy because you just live over there and I live over here. That's stupid. That's stupid.
I can't wait for a whole bunch of ego bubbles to just be popped, because this world,
basically it's gonna be a mass. Like, it might be a little crazy, but everybody's just gonna have to be like.
I feel like we need a tsunami. Yeah. I feel like we need a tsunami of like divine femininity to like just wave in and wash us all over.
I agree. That's why I'm wearing this earring. It's the crescent moon. It's a symbol of the feminine earth, like energies embodied through like, shamanism and witchcraft. Because I mean, I call it witchcraft, but I really mean it like wise working with nature. Because of a lot of sessions that I had last year, I felt like we were bringing back the witches, all the women and the wise women that were burned and persecuted. They came back in sessions, and they infused my clients' consciousnesses with the wisdom of healing and the information that came out. And actually, the last book that was published by Dolores, Horns of the Goddess, it's all about that. And it's very empowering to read, to know that magic, or I call magic like being connected to the earth energies, and to have a tangible experience of it, and to work with it in unison and in synergy, or in a positive way. And so people living those lives, they're scratched out of history. History is very patriarchal, victory based. But what we're finding through our sessions is that this magic existed in bubbles for quite a long time, up until like the Industrial Revolution. There were still people that were able to live that way, and to hear about it, and to bring that back, together with the indigenous wisdom that the different peoples all over the world still have. I think it's part of our salvation, or our sort of tie into this new way of existence.
Yeah, I think it is actually innate, because we are, we are spiritual, energetic beings before we're ever what we are right now. And the programming and the control and whatnot, but they try to, we're being basically used. And I don't know, I'm questioning the whole life. You go to school, then you work, your entire life, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. And then you work
the rat race, essentially, right?
Yeah, to retire, which is like work until you can't do anything when you retire. It's the whole thing is just crazy.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I have 2 Dolores Cannon quotes that I'd like to say before we close off our session.
Okay.
The first one is, "It has been said that once the mind has been expanded by an idea or a concept, it can never return to its original way of thinking."
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's that one. And then the last one that I'd like to close out on is, "Don't be afraid of shining a light. Don't be afraid of being more powerful. Don't be afraid of being more special."
Those are
Yeah. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I very much appreciated your time. Thank you, Justin.
Yes.
Thank you, Leslie. To our audience that's still here sticking around, please do us a favor and smash that like button. Click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word.
All right. Much love.
Peace, and namaste.
Namaste.